Hello, I'm Eric Miskell with EMSNOW, and welcome to this edition of EMSNOW Up Close. We wanted to speak to somebody in the EMS industry involved in what is traditionally called medical electronics sector. So we invited a guest from Zollner in Germany to speak to us, who I will introduce briefly. And Zollner, just so that you know, for those who may not know, is a global EMS. I believe they were ranked number 15 in 2019, and is an example of an EMS company that's involved in this particular sector. So our guest today is Erwin Stöcklinger. He's a senior vice president with Zollner Electronics. And Erwin, welcome. Thank you for agreeing to come on and answer some questions for me today.
Thanks a lot, Eric. It's a great pleasure for me being here. Okay. Let's
start. Why don't you introduce yourself and your role within Zollner so that people know what your context is for your conversation.
No problem, thanks. Let's start with the introduction. My name is Erwin Stöcklinger, and I'm working with Zollner since more than 10 years already. I started my career at Zollner in 1994 as a key account manager for a major medical customer at that time. In 1974, I moved to procurement and was responsible to establish a strategic procurement at Zollner. Later on, I left Zollner for more than 15 years and was working with one of the biggest EMS company worldwide, and also for a very small, mid-sized EMS company in Austria, before I came back to Zollner in 2015. So now I am responsible for one of Zollner's business division with a revenue of more than 330 million and more than 1,700 employees worldwide. And in parallel, I'm also responsible for the market segment, healthcare and life science within Zollner.
Okay. Excellent. Well, you are the person we should speak to then. So, listen, before we get into the sector information, obviously we've all lived through this pandemic and continue to deal with it for the last year, the COVID-19. What impact has it had on Zollner and the operations?
I'd like to split my answer into two areas. First, general impact to Zollner in 2020, 2021, and I guess almost the same other companies. Almost a lot of other companies have the same fight we have. So we had to find answers at the beginning of the pandemic. In 2000, we had to find answers to the lockdowns, closing of the borders. You know, Zollner is very close to the Czech Republic, and in spring last time, and also beginning of this year, the border to Czech Republic was closed, and we had to find answers how we can handle this. And we also have to find the right working models for our employees. You know, home office, it increased dramatically at that time. 1 year ago, we used it, but now it's all over. Mm-hmm. So on the other side, we also had to handle, for some of the customers, a dramatic drop of their demand. And at the same time, especially within the healthcare area, we had also, I don't know if you call it dramatic, but a huge increase of the demand, mainly in this medical area. And most of these customers were defined as systemically relevant. Mm-hmm. You know, we deliver products for customers for ventilators, and also for customer who doing PCR test devices. So it was amazing last year.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so on the end of the day, we were able and we are still able to secure the safety of the employees during all the time and to fulfill the request of the customer. But beside of the general impact, I also see a long-term effect on the market. So if you want, I can give you some more details on this. First of all, this pandemic shows the weak points in the health system in each country. I mean, we have seen it at the beginning last year. So by that, the need to upgrade the health system has been very important. That will come in the next years.
Mm.
We also expect more promotion of the availability of analytic options like point of care diagnostic, laboratory automation, etc. So we are definitely believing this. We see also an increasing importance of the security of the supply of medical equipment. Globalization in critical, more precisely, I would say, in systemically relevant areas, like vaccine, medical devices, and a lot of other ones, will be managed in the future. And this is what we definitely believe in a regional approach.
Okay. Yeah. There's quite a bit there, and I think, but it all kind of would one to assume be a good indicators for the growth of the sector too, or for continued work and development in the sector. So
definitely, because we also see a big breakthrough of digitalization because of the pandemic. Yeah. I mean, there will be a connection between the patient, between care teams and providers. You have to provide the infrastructure for this. Hospital and health system will become more and more smart. I mean, we have seen it in Germany and in other countries. They still handle it with paper. That's not state of the art. So there will be a big invest in the future in these areas. So overall, we are strongly believe that this has a big impact to all our OEMs. There will be a big pressure on them to increase their production capacities. I mean, there will be a growth in the next year. So on the end of the day, this will open a lot of opportunities also to us in the EMS.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's a good way to structure it. Now, what I'm intrigued by too is that Zollner actually renamed what was traditionally the medical, what I call medical electronics sector. I think it was called medical technology in Zollner, and it is now called healthcare and life sciences.
Yes.
So tell us about that and what that means.
Yeah. The process to rename our area started already before the pandemic. But the pandemic confirmed our path and accelerated the process. So medical technology, how we handled it in the past, has been one of our focus industry for a long time. But medical technology alone does not reflect the market we really serve. I mean, it's more than just the devices, it's more than medical. So we have seen that we serve much larger spectrum in medical technologies, and medical technology is just one part of it. Therefore, we think that healthcare and life science fits perfectly to our scope. Within healthcare and life science, we will focus in the future on 4 segments where we can strongly support our customers and offer them value add. I just give you a short overview about these 4 segments. So we still have medical technology. This is what we have also in the future. It's a big area, and we still will work very strong in this market. But we also have some new customer within the pharmaceutical area. So we are producing pharmaceutical devices, and we see a big increase there and a big demand there in the future. We also have and had in the past laboratory equipment. I mean, like I said before, we are delivering PCR devices to customers, and this is also a big area and big segment, and we think this will grow also quite a lot in the future. So this is also one of our focus segments. And last but not least, I mean, digital health, we talked already before. Digitalization will be a boost for the future, and we strongly believe in this. So we will also focus in the future on the digital area to increase our share within this healthcare segment, also in this area. Yeah. So I think overall, Zollner is very well prepared for the existing and future challenges we will have in the healthcare market.
Yeah. Yeah, and it sounds like it wasn't really a major change in strategy. It was just almost an expansion of the areas that you included within the group.
Yeah, it was, I think, one of the major reasons why we changed it is to really show the customer that we are really serving a much broader area than just the medical market. And this was really to show the customer we are willing and we are able to follow you also in this segment within the medical market.
And as you said, the change of the name and all that was not it began before the pandemic began. So this was not as a result of COVID.
No, definitely not. But you know, like I said before, COVID really helped us and confirmed us that we are on the right path. I mean, like I said before, the impact of COVID and this really will support our change and our new focus in this market.
Okay. So now tell me then, as an EMS, what are you offering to customers then in the industry as far as services go?
Yeah. You know, when I just before I started my introduction, I said that I was handling a medical customer already in 1994, so 25 years ago. So we have already more than 25-year experience within the medical market. I think we start already quite early with this. And Zollner, we consider us as a mechatronic service provider. We are able to handle complex mechatronic systems. So we are very experienced in high-level assembly within all these years. And because of this, we have a very high vertical integration. So we do metal sheet, we do cables, we do inductors. So we do surface treatment for the medical. So we do a lot of these things. And with all of this, Zollner can support our customer with a very wide range of know-how within the product, within the whole device. And because of our long experience we have in the healthcare market, we have already competences over the entire life cycle. From development, I think you know Zollner has a very strong development department. We do industrialization, manufacturing for sure, it's our core competences. Supply chain management, we offer a lot of solutions within this area, and also after sale. And especially also in the healthcare market, we also have some application know-how because we hire, and we also will in the future in strategic areas, we will also hire application engineers. So we can really talk to the customer on the right level.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, tell me, for healthcare and life sciences, is that Zollner clearly has a global footprint. Are there centers of excellence for that? Is it spread? Is it mostly out of Europe and then manufacturing supported in different areas? How is it structured from that perspective?
So, Zollner has a very big footprint within Europe. So we can offer all these services definitely for Europe. But in the last 10, 15 years, we also gained and have already now a footprint within Americas. We do have Milpitas as one site where we do NBI, and Milpitas and California is one of the medical hubs within the US. So we have a very good connection to customers there. And we do have connected to Milpitas our serial production plant within Costa Rica. So we can fit or we can offer to our customer a very good solution within this. Mm-hmm. And the same in Asia. We have already since more than 15 years production site in Asia, in China, Taichung, close to Shanghai. Mm-hmm. And we do have, especially also with high level assembly, we do have a very good, we have a long and very deep experience there. We have a very good established supply chain there. We do not have our own metal sheet production there, but we have a very good supply chain base there, and we are definitely able to offer this service on a worldwide level to our customers.
Okay, good. So how do you see then the entirety of this sector of the healthcare and life sciences? What's your view of that as we move forward out of this pandemic? It certainly has been a boon to the business in the area, unfortunately, but it is growing, right?
Definitely it's growing. I mean, healthcare was also growing in the past, and it was not booming, but it was constantly growing. Mm-hmm. But for the future, I mean, out of what I see is that the world of the healthcare and life science is transforming into a new era. I mean, quality of life, healthcare, and sustainability are moving more and more into focus on an individual, but also on a global level. I mean, medical or healthcare has to find answer on this. And I see also constant new knowledge and research on the organism and in processes. A rapid technology progress, including the digitalization we had already discussed before, mm-hmm. and very extremely high degree of innovation in this market. So this will open up a lot of new possibilities in the industry. So mm-hmm. On the other hand, the product is a highly regulated market with an increasing share of cutting edge technology. Out of what we see are becoming more and more complex. So this will lead to a very strong impact on the time to market and cost efficiency mm-hmm. for the customer, for our OEM. So what I really see is that the OMS has to change from a classic solution provider of devices. So you don't sell a device anymore in the future. They have to change to a provider of digital and holistic health solution. But in the future, this will mean that the OEMs, the manufacturer, they will need even more to concentrate on their core competencies. So again, I strongly believe that this will open a lot of new possibilities to the EMS. Mm-hmm. And as the EMS, we can help the OEMs on their transforming path. This is what we definitely see.
Okay. That begs a follow-up question, if I may. How are OEMs' expectations changing for their EMS providers in this space then? You talk about that, I think historically, like you say, medical has kind of grown organically a little, and then all of a sudden the pandemic hit and we saw this great acceleration in business in that particular sector. concurrent with that, other than the services, how are OEMs' expectations changing of their EMS providers in this environment? Are they is it more around how you're communicating and exchanging data rather than the services you provide, or what is happening there?
I think in the future, the OMS expect more and more services from the EMS. We are not a build-to-print provider anymore like in the past. They expect experience. Like I said before, you need to have application experience to talk to the customer on the right level, and you have to provide them solutions. So I strongly believe that in the future you have to have much more knowledge within the EMS to serve the customer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that makes sense. If they're going to give you more business, they have a higher expectation of your ability to handle it. So
definitely.
Okay. So then what do you see as the trends and challenges in this sector moving forward?
I mean, this is a very good question, Eric. And I think we could have a separate session of this subject and we only could capture the surface. But let's start with at least with some points and discuss about this. So some major trends I definitely see is for sure aging population. So we need they need to support and treatment in the future. So you have to find answer on this, and for sure answers will be found in the healthcare. Digitalization, I mean, I said already before, some keywords here are big data. I mean, in the medical area, more and more connection will be there. And so you have more and more information, and this will be used. I mean, you have seen some interaction between big data companies and medical companies in the past. Mm-hmm. And also artificial intelligence, this will become more and more into this market. Yeah. And in developing countries, they also expect from their government that they have to provide for more people a modern healthcare standard. So there will be a big growth also out of these changes in this area. And if you look to some technical trends, we definitely see a miniaturization driven not only but also by the merging of a consumer product and a medical device. I mean, you have a lot of you can do a lot of measurements already within a handheld or within a hand devices you wear, and this was 10 years ago. It was a big box within a hospital. And this trend will definitely continue. And last but not least, what is also a very interesting trend and will become more and more is robotics in the medical area, in the operation area.
Yeah. And that, I would imagine that's where Zollner industry in the mechatronics really help differentiate you as a provider.
Definitely. And we are in contact with some of the major providers here for robotics, and that's a very interesting area to see this.
Yeah. And how do you, I mean, a lot of the governments, I'll speak for here in the United States, there's a big push to spend more money, right? In dealing with COVID and in our case, what they call rebuilding infrastructure. And within that, there's things on medical as well. So do you, and I'm not sure how it is necessarily in Europe and in Germany specifically, but I know that there's such similar initiatives. Do you see that as also being an accelerator and an influence on this sector?
Definitely. I mean, the European Union had decided already end of last year to have a fund really to support countries after the pandemic, and it's a huge fund. And I think this definitely a lot of this money will also be spent in the medical area, in the healthcare area, and so definitely. this pandemic has a big influence also on the governments to spend more money than in the past. I mean, in the past, medical or the medical healthcare sector were mainly driven just economically. So just to see, all the people were watching on the costs of the healthcare, but they didn't really looked on the needs, what society really need. And I think with this pandemic, there will be a shift.
Yeah. No, and I think that's right. I think it's placed medical, or the as you call it, the healthcare and life sciences, in a more elevated role now within our societies, right? And for a lot of the reasons that you've been able to articulate here. So, so thank you for that. Listen, we must come to an end here, Erwin. I appreciate your comments and your insights on this. This has been very interesting, and I like the name change makes sense, and also the sectors that you're including into that. It shows kind of that segmentation. It's not just medical anymore. There's so many different, the medical, the pharma, the lab, the digital health, those. It shows how this is how it's starting to change and morph a bit. So, so thank you for your comments on that. I'm sure our audience will appreciate that. To hear from one of the global EMS companies who's working in this area is always a pleasure. So maybe later in the year, maybe we can get an update again and speak again, because I find this very interesting, and I'm sure our audience will as well. So
yeah, thanks a lot, Eric. It was also a pleasure for me, and it was a very good conversation. And for sure, I'm always open. We can definitely continue a few months later, and hopefully we don't have this restriction anymore. Maybe we can also meet in a face-to-face meeting later on.
Yeah. Well, as I said before we began this interview, I'm dying to get back over to Europe. So hopefully that's for it. So very well, Erwin. Thank you very much. For our audience, if you're watching, if Erwin is on, if you wish to reach out to him, he is over there in Europe, but he is available on LinkedIn. If you cannot get a hold of him, please get a hold of me, and I will put you in contact with him. So, Erwin, thank you very much, sir. I wish you good health and a successful continuation of the year.
Thank you. The same to you. Stay healthy, and talk to you.
Very good. Danke.
Okay. Danke. Bye-bye.